Good
Happy Friday!
morning. How are ya?
We're really excited that it's Friday here because as you can see behind us, summer is starting to arrive here in Milwaukee. So today's episode is perfect because we've got you covered with different ways to brew cold brew.
Oh, yes. All of these you can brew at home and you can brew with any coffee. So we're just going to work you through what we've got, and hopefully this summer will be ultra caffeinated.
We definitely will be after this video.
We absolutely will be. So let's get to it. Let's start with our filter packs. We've got these on sale online. We've got our Roy G. Biv. We have Jet Black, and then we also have our True Blue, which is decaf, which is awesome. I love the fact that we have an option for decaf for any of those who have issues with caffeine like myself. That's my go-to. But yeah, tell us more about these little cold brew packs here, Jessica.
Yeah, I really love the True Blue Decaf blend. So the True Blue Decaf is actually our medium and darker roasted decaffeinated coffees blended together to make a composition. Right now, this coffee is a select water process decaf, which means that it was entirely decaffeinated with water.
That's incredible.
It really is truly incredible. And the most incredible thing about it is that it doesn't taste like decaf.
Yeah.
So if you're someone who drinks decaf like myself, that's something to get so super excited about. Seriously, though.
No chemicals, all water. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. We have currently a select water process decaf on our line from Brazil. Upcoming, we're going to have a select water process decaf from Guatemala that's absolutely delicious that I tasted yesterday. I'm so super excited to bring it to you. So there are some different variations of how you can brew your cold brew. You don't just have to brew caffeinated offerings. You can also brew decaf. You can also brew half and half. You can brew quarter calf. You can brew whatever the heck you want.
The world is your oyster.
And that's something that's really exciting to me, just because cold brew can actually be really super caffeinating. And the reason why is because a lot of cold brew recipes rely on concentrating the coffee, which therefore increases the amount of total dissolved solids. More total dissolved solids means more total caffeine. So with our cold brew recipe that we're going to be brewing today, we actually don't concentrate it. This is a very straightforward recipe, so you know exactly how much coffee is going into your belly every time that you drink it. And what's really cool is that we can use this same recipe for multiple different cold brew methods, which is really nice because you don't always have everything that you need on hand. So we're going to walk you through ways that you could brew cold brew while you're camping, while you're at home, while you're traveling, staying in a hotel, while you're at the in-laws' house, wherever you might be. We've got you covered with all of these different options of how you can brew your cold brew today. So to begin, we're going to start with how you brew our cold brew filter packs. Today we have our Roy G. Biv. Our Roy G. Biv is really nice if you want a really bright citrus forward cold brew. If you want something that's a little bit more chocolatey, has a little bit more depth, a little bit more nuance, then you're totally going to want to go for our Jet Black. Our Jet Black cold brew is absolutely delicious. And if you want a little bit more substance and oomph in your cold brew, Jet Black is totally going to be it. So I'm going to do a little bit of an unboxing with you. So we have one of our Roy G. Biv cold brew filter packs.
Sorry, our ice machine is making some noise, so I'm just going to try to figure that out real quick.
It's getting noisy because it's heating up with summer.
It knows!
All right, but I'm going to take out this cold brew pack. And what's really nice about these filter packs, which are made by Alto, is that they're really, really durable. I love the durability of these cold brew packs. They've never failed on me. I've worked with other cold brew filter packs before that break open after you brew, which is not something that you want to have to deal with because there's going to be grounds all over the place. So what I'm going to do with this cold brew filter pack is go off camera for a second, grab this jug. I'm just going to put it inside of here, and we're going to fill it up with water. So what we have is a 227 gram cold brew coffee filter pack that we're covering with 64 ounces of water. This is water right from our tap because we have an RO system here at Stone Creek.
Oh, yeah.
Which makes it even better.
Sweet. It's that simple.
It's really that simple. So now this is where things can get fun. Just because we put this in here and we have a recipe that we're following according to the recipe on the box doesn't mean that we have to follow it. I actually make this a little bit differently than what we have at the box sometimes when I'm at home by putting it in the refrigerator to steep rather than leaving it out.
Why do you do that?
So I prefer the cold steep because I actually find that there's fewer dissolved solids when I do a cold steep. When I do the warmer steep, I find that there's more dissolved solids, and sometimes that actually leads to more sediment at the bottom.
That coffee soot that we all get at the bottom.
But then you're probably wondering how much time this takes to brew.
It's true.
So I would go anywhere from 12 to 15 hours with how long you're steeping this. And how long you steep it is all going to impact what a lot of people refer to as strength.
Yep.
It's going to taste a lot stronger when you brew it for longer, just because it's extracting more of what's inside of that coffee bean. However, you're going to run the risk of over-extraction if you leave it in there too long. And when we start to over-extract, we're actually taking things out of the coffee bean that aren't so good anymore. So once you've reached that peak extraction, which is probably around 15 hours, you definitely want to take it out of there. You can, of course, do experiments on your own and see what you like. Let us know if you like something different. But for now, I am going to put this in the fridge and probably take it home with me so that I can finish it 12 to 15 hours from now. I really like finishing it in about 12 to 13 hours. I like my cold brew to be really bright, crisp, clean, and I find that 12 to 13 hours is perfect for that.
That's awesome. And if you want to know how to do this, once you do order one online, we do have the instructions on the back, 1 through 6. So if any of this, if you can't access this video or anything, you've got all of the instructions on the back how to do exactly what we just did.
Exactly.
And through the power of movie magic, we have some cold brew already made. Ta-da! Wow. It was already in the oven, brewed and baked to perfection.
Magic.
Wow.
So yesterday night around 7 p.m., I started this cold brew in my kitchen. I'm going to finish the cold brew right now. I did leave it in my fridge overnight so that you all could taste it. This particular cold brew, though, is different than the jet black. So you don't have to use the coffees that we offer in filter packs. You can use other coffees inside of cold brew filter packs, such as our Oasis Burundi, which launched yesterday and is a composition of a washed and natural processed coffee from Kayanza, Burundi that is absolutely beautiful. I have not tried it as cold brew yet, so we're going to try for the first time now, and I'm so excited.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is just take this cold brew filter pack right out of here.
Grab some ice for Drew here real quick.
I'm going to try to get some of that liquid out that's inside of the cold brew filter pack, but I don't want to squeeze the bag too hard because it will rip open. And then you will have a mess. All right. So now my cold brew is done. I don't have to do anything else. It was so simple. All I had to do was grind up 227 grams of coffee. I ground it coarse, and then I added 64 ounces of water, put it in the fridge, and left it. All I had to do is take out that filter pack the next morning, and voila.
So why do we grind it coarse? I'm curious.
The reason why we grind it coarse is because of surface area. So we don't want to expose the beans. Exactly. So we want that bigger chunk that the coarser grind size offers, because if it were finer and more like sand, it wouldn't have the same amount of surface area in order to reach that peak extraction that we were talking about earlier.
Got it.
So grind size totally impacts extraction. So it's really important that we aren't grinding our coffee too fine when we are brewing it as cold brew. I've never tried to grind coffee really fine to brew it as cold brew, but I would imagine that it tastes pretty bitter.
Sure, yeah.
Just based on my experience with brewing coffees and things like V60s.
Absolutely, yeah. The amount of time that water is sitting with that coffee, if those if those grounds are too fine, then you're going to get those bitter notes a lot quicker than you would with this coarser. I've got some for Drew here as well.
All right, so now we can enjoy this delicious Oasis Burundi.
Oh my goodness.
It feels like summertime and it tastes like summertime.
That's so good.
It's so tasty.
Oh, wow.
So this coffee was sourced through the Long Miles Coffee Project, which is a partner that we've been working with in Burundi for several years now. And this just tastes amazing. There's been a lot of things going on in the shipping world recently, but this is an amazing outcome of the very long journey that coffee goes on to get to its final cup. So I am just thrilled to not only have this coffee but be trying it as cold brew. And I hope that that encourages all of you to try different coffees that you love as cold brew. Coffees that are really fruity like naturals or compositions that include naturals are inherently going to be a lot fruitier than washed.
And that's what I'm getting from this a lot.
So this is just great. I really enjoy this.
Very citrus forward.
Yeah.
Fruity.
And now we can talk about another way to brew this, which I think this is actually one of my favorite ways to brew cold brew because it has special features. So this is an Espro CB1, and I really can't praise it enough. And I'm not being paid to say that.
Sure.
So I think that
I wish.
a lot. So the cool thing about the Espro CB1 is that it actually has a dual filter system.
That's awesome.
So if you can see, the bottom of this allows me to put this round circular filter disc in the bottom of it. And then what I would actually do is either use Espro's filter pack, which you can purchase, or use a filter pack such as an Alto Cold Brew one, fill it up with 227 grams of coffee, pop it in there with 64 ounces of water, and put it in the fridge overnight, just like we did with those other cold brew filter packs. However, the really cool thing is that when we decide to decant it finally, we get to use this nifty contraption that it comes with. This is not a filter like you might have thought when you first saw it. It's not for a drip brewer. Or is it? It's a cold brew drip brewer.
Wow, that's incredible.
So what actually happens with the Espro CB1 is that you're able to decant your cold brew and then therefore have it pass through this double filter system into whatever vessel that you're going to keep it in. It actually fits perfectly around a growler, which is wonderful because a growler is 64 ounces, and that's exactly the yield that you're going to be trying to aim for.
Yeah.
So I love this brewer. I really can't say enough about it. It's really nice too because it fits well in your fridge. It also fits really well on your shelves.
Sweet. That's so cool.
And it's baby proof if your baby likes to play with it. So that's always an added bonus.
Sweet. So yeah, these are two ways you can make cold brew at home. And this is just flat cold brew, straight up cold brew. But we also have a really, really cool thing that we're going to get into next about how to make nitro coffee. And nitro coffee has been huge over the last few years.
It's just still blowing up.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of cafes are starting to get nitro coffee. And if you haven't had nitro coffee before, Nitrogen-Infused cold brew is exactly what it sounds like. It's cold brew that has nitrogen in it, which is kind of like a Guinness, like a stout, something like that. It's going to be really creamy mouthfeel without having any kind of dairy or cream in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have this really, really cool contraption here called the U-Keg, made by Growler Works, which makes making nitro at home way easier than it should be, and that's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And it all starts with the Nitro Chargers. Ooh. So you need Nitro Chargers in order for a system like this to work. And it's actually what provides that creaminess that Joshua was talking about. So by nitrogenating beverages, the gas from the nitrogen actually changes the entire texture of the drink. So all we need to do is pop that right inside of this charger.
This is just the little stem that comes with the nitro keg, the U-Keg.
We're going to do something very important too and fill the growler full of liquid.
Oh, yeah.
There's actually fill lines inside of here. I can't show you right now. But I think what's really nice about this is that the fill lines aren't on the outside of the growler. So it doesn't aesthetically kind of like impair the look of the nice sleek growler.
Gunmetal gray. Love it. While you're pouring that in, I just kind of wanted to show the front of this thing, it has a pour and infuse side, and then this little circle means off. So you want that to be off while you're turning in that charger. You're going to hear a little hiss as you turn it in. And we're going to keep that closed until we're ready to put everything inside.
And we're ready.
Here we go.
And we want to make sure that we look at this dial, because the dial is how you infuse it.
Yep.
And also what ultimately controls how much nitrogen is being put in the beverage once it is infused.
Yeah. So we start out at this 0 or the O or whatever you want, and you turn it. You're going to hear it start to.
Oh, I can hear it.
It's purring. It means it's going to be good. So we turn it all the way until it says infuse. And then we give it a nice minute shake.
A minute long shake. So
Everybody
he's going to
wants a
shake
good
this
minute.
for a whole minute. I'm going to keep track. This is per UKEG's directions.
It's on the instruction
follow
sheet.
instructions.
Yep. One thing
All
you want to
right.
remember while you're doing this, if you do run out of Nitro Chargers, be sure to get Nitrogen Chargers for replacement. Don't get any CO2. CO2 is inherently bitter. And so when you infuse that in with your coffee or with anything really, it causes kind of a bitter note, which is not what you're going to want.
Definitely
with your
not what
nitro.
you want, especially with cold brew.
Yeah.
Just because since cold brew is going to be more concentrated than the drip coffee that you're used to dripping, it's going to taste even worse if you're adding bitterness to it.
Yep. It's
So
the
we don't want
difference.
that.
It's the difference between your average, just like lager beer, which has kind of a bitter note to it, or like a Guinness.
Sorry, you look amazing.
All
Do I
right.
look great?
Oh
man, I shouldn't have worn
we
long
are
sleeves
at
for my big
1
muscles.
minute.
Wow.
And now is when the magic truly happens.
Woo. Gonna give it a last little shake for good measure. And then you should be on this dial right here. There's this little gauge. You should be at 15 or in the infused section. So we're gonna set that down. I'm actually gonna bring this back so I'm not reaching over the table. And then we pull it back to pour, which is just the last section before the infuse on the top stem here.
Yeah, Jessica, can you hold this one while he
Ooh.
pour a shot on this?
Are we ready?
No,
Okay.
absolutely not.
Awesome. All right, we're gonna hold on a little bit.
Okay, now we're ready.
Ready?
You want to be able to enjoy how awesome this looks when it starts to infuse in the glass. And one of my favorite parts is actually when it starts to settle, to see all those layers sinking down. Oh yeah, there it goes. Look at that. It looks so awesome.
Wow.
All that power too for such a tiny little keg.
And how quick it is. A lot of times
Yeah.
in bars or even in our
Wow.
cafes, it takes a minute for things to fuse just because of incrementally increasing pressure, making sure that there's the infusion rate and the pressure. All of it just happened in less than about a minute.
Yeah.
A minute to 2 minutes, which is incredible. And it's so tasty.
Well, I still have the
Go for
phone, so I'll just, hello.
There we go.
That's so delicious.
What's
you
different?
guys.
What's different? What are you tasting different from that over when we just had our regular cold brew?
The nitrogen really provides a fluffiness that almost is like drinking. It's foamy. There's just nothing that you can quite compare that foaminess to. And because of that, it almost feels more airy on my palate, like lighter.
Yeah.
It's not so heavy like drinking water. It's like drinking a cloud.
Interesting.
A cloud in a glass.
Like marshmallow coffee.
It's really, really delicious. And what is cool now that you bring up the marshmallow note is that nitrogenating a coffee can actually kind of change how it tastes.
Yep.
And bring out flavor notes that just weren't there before. So for instance, if you have our jet black cold brew and you brewed it in a filter pack, the filter pack is going to taste a little bit different than what you taste when you have the nitro on tap in one of our cafes.
Yep.
And the reason for that is what the nitro does when it interacts with the beverage. And it makes it taste creamier, richer, almost more luxurious.
Yeah.
So it really makes that trip to the cafe extra worth it. But you're not always able to make it to the cafe. So when you're not able to make it to the cafe, UKEG is here to save the day.
Got you. The cool thing, and you were just talking about how the nitrogen interacts with the coffee, and the science kind of behind that. I wanted to learn a little bit more about this, so I'm just going to share some. The more you know, the more you nitro, right? Nice. So nitrogen, when it infuses and interacts with coffee, it displaces the oxygen atoms that are in the coffee. So the coffee itself it oxidizes at a slower rate. And so the nitrogen kind of mixes in there. And that's why you get that creaminess like you were talking about. It creates like kind of a padding in between those coffee molecules. And that's what that change in flavor is. So you're not having this oxygen sitting in that coffee for however long you have the cold brew in your fridge. The nitro is displacing that and giving you a little bit more of those flavor compounds that kind of dissipate over time through oxidation, which is pretty cool.
It also kind of preserves it inherently then. So it's kind of like if you put a cut up avocado in your refrigerator with nothing on it, that avocado is going to turn brown because of oxidization. But if you were to cover it in olive oil, for instance, another fat, it actually prevents oxidization.
A little layer on there?
Yeah, so it's actually really interesting to consider how nitrogen might actually help preserve your cold brew flavor a little bit longer.
That's awesome. That's so cool. One thing about the U-Keg that I think is cool that they kind of talked about just through research as we were looking up different things you can use the U-Keg for is it's not just for coffee. You can use this for anything you want. Well, with discretion, obviously think about what this can be used for. So I know that some of the things that we saw were nitrogenated tea, like matcha tea and black tea.
Oh, I want to try the matcha so bad too, but I was just reluctant to ruin the beautiful clean taste of the keg as it is.
Definitely.
However, that's a really good segue into ways that you can clean certain things. And it's really important to follow the instructions on the U-Keg. It recommends you using a cleansing tablet for coffee brewers to clean it. I also highly recommend that. If you don't regularly clean it, it won't stay clean, and if it's not clean, it's not going to taste good. Even if it's coffee sediment that's on the inside, it's kind of like if you have a traveler mug that you regularly drink coffee out of and it starts to turn brown on the inside, it doesn't taste quite as good. The same thing would happen in this kind of environment, so you're definitely going to want to make sure that you're cleaning it up and cleaning it really well at that.
Yeah, and that goes to for everything, whether it comes to if you have an at-home espresso machine, a coffee brewer, anything like that, like you said, mugs.
Cleaning is very important.
Super important. And some websites say don't use soap and water. If that's all you have and you don't have a cleansing tablet, like soap and water is great. At least cleaning it's the bottom line. We want to make sure that we're having a clean apparatus to make new coffee in, because it's those flavors that kind of transfer that's going to make that kind of funky vibe.
The coffee can't taste sweet, clean, and juicy like all of our coffees do if what you're brewing it in isn't sweet, clean, and juicy itself.
Yeah. We also have new products online for cleaning.
Like Kafiza and the next products.
So we're really excited that after one of our other recent episodes where we were talking about grind, we decided to put Kafiza and other
the grinds
products from Urnex on our website. And not only can you purchase those cleaning products, but you can purchase the CB1, you can purchase the filter packs, you can purchase the U-Keg, you can purchase glasses. The only thing that you can't purchase is these pitchers. And you can also purchase the Oasis Burgundy, which I highly recommend because I don't think that it'll last
Just
that
came
long.
out. Yep, got to get it while it's hot.
So get it while it's still here, and we hope that you all have a lovely Friday.
Yes.
Please, as always, reach out to us at customers@stonecreekcoffee.com with any questions that you might have. We're really happy that you took the time to join us for this video today. Bye.
Bye.